Now, there are supporters and there are supporters. Sue Connop was a supporter with a capital S. She was a Brummie supporter with a big red capital B. Those of you that knew Sue will know that she worked tirelessly for Birmingham Brummies for their supporters club, arranging coaches and minibuses, sometimes even driving them. She helped to raise lots of money for help riders with tyres and equipment and so on. And it almost doesn't need saying, but I will say it anyway. Sue, you are one in a million and you will be missed. Rest in peace. Okay, well, good evening and welcome to the Speedway Tavern. We've got with us tonight, as per normal, just back from sunning himself yet again, more holidays than a teacher, Chris Webby Brown.
It's all over you now, is it?
I beg your pardon?
The tan. It's all over.
It's all over.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I'll take your word for it.
Yes,
too.
absolutely.
That thong came in handy.
And we also have Matt Buck in the studio.
Good evening.
We should also mention get well soon to Tom Brennan.
Yes, of course.
Nasty break of his leg, and Speedway being the sport that it is, gives Carl Newman an opportunity to be not unemployed for more than a week after being moved on by Birmingham, and obviously he's taken Thomas' place in the National League as well.
Yep.
For Cradley.
Started off well, hasn't he? I think. Carl Newman.
I think he's going to be a top rider in that league, isn't he?
Should be, really, yeah.
Yeah, you would think so. And he started off well for Eastbourne as well.
Yep.
Ever was it thus? But hey ho. Have we got a show tonight, folks?
I don't know.
Neither do I. It really depends on.
I just turned up here and expect you to order it banned.
Yeah.
Mistake,
When you're not on holiday.
I thought you lived under the desk, to be honest, but I thought you just did errands for Chris when we wasn't here. Perhaps we shouldn't go into that.
I'll do a few quick hellos before we start.
Yes, please.
Okay. Hello, Stephen Bradford. Hello, Brian Ricketts. Wendy Jane Barnett. Paul Freeman. Kevin Bradley from New Zealand.
Hello.
They don't
good
say
day.
cover, do they?
Did I say good day?
G'day, yeah.
G'day.
Yeah, okay.
Neil Young.
Neil Young.
Neil Young, yeah.
People rocking in the free world.
Neil Young from Bristol. Darren Hartley. R.E.P. Sue, lovely lady, says Darren. Mm-hmm. Somebody called Matt Buck, I don't know who he is. And Paul PVL Racing. Hiya! Where you been? Said Paul.
Well, I've been here. Where have you been, Webby?
Well, I've been holiday, haven't I?
Yeah.
You know?
Terrible.
I don't have them very often, so I've got to grab them all I can.
Only once a week.
The back garden.
Yeah.
I haven't had one for ages.
To be fair, it has been quite a while since you had one.
It has, yeah.
But for you.
3 weeks, I think.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, as I said, have we got a show tonight? We've got a few things and ideas of stuff that we would like to talk about. Obviously, the GP and the big talking point qualification will come onto that. Some potentially good news about Brandon.
Yeah.
And some potentially good news about Rye House. Another thing that I would like to sort of open up is what can we do to get the sort of crowds that we've just been witnessing on some of the videos.
Unbelievable crowds.
Unbelievable crowds. Yeah.
And it's not that long ago.
I was just going to say exactly the same thing. You know, people might think,
it's an old subject, and we will talk about that as well. And I imagine there are plenty of things that you guys out there would like to talk about, and that's the whole point of the show. Mm-hmm. What do you want to talk about? What's on your mind? Pull us up on anything we say that you think that's rubbish. Mind you, we could be here all night with that.
Yeah, so that's going to be most of it there.
How can they join in?
Well, they can join in on various Facebook pages and groups, mainly Speedway related pages and groups. Well, actually, all of them are Speedway related pages.
Get
or
on with
you
it.
can listen in. You're listening to us on. You ready? www.wsrbradio.com.
Loads of W's, slbradio.com. Obviously, we're on Facebook, and you can actually see our beautiful visages.
I'm not on there, am I? Oh, I am, yeah.
Yes, sure. Well,
I am, yeah.
your shoulder
No,
is.
just about, yeah, your shoulder. I better move my camera, haven't I? 'Cause-
No,
my fans will go.
no, that's fine. That's
My
fine.
fans will be complaining.
Don't turn your back.
Yes. Wendy Jane Barnett's already pulled me up on something. She thought Jack Smith had replaced Tom Brennan at Cradley, and of course she's right.
Yes.
I just got. Yeah. Who did I say it was again?
You said it was Carl Newman.
Oh,
Didn't say that would be a hell of a signing for her.
That would be a hell of a signing,
national
wouldn't it? I
league
don't know
team,
why. I don't know where that came from. Hey ho. Yes, Jack Smith, but he'll do well at Cradley. Unfortunately. Kings Lynn signing Craig Cook will turn their fortunes around. Will it? He's doing quite well at the moment, isn't he? Didn't he do well in the Speedway of Nations, by the way?
Yeah.
We basically had 3 riders.
Yeah.
It was, and probably the worst rider of the 3 was for the first half of the meeting anyway. Was Ty Waffling.
Absolutely, yeah. But
and what we should talk about that. I mean, that was quite a brave move, wasn't it, by Alan Rossiter, dropping Ty for a race.
It was, yes.
And Ty didn't seem that concerned about that he'd done it. So that's
looking
all
at the bigger
looking
picture,
good.
I think. So
yeah.
It's nice to be in a position where you can drop your starting name. So
And now you've got some. So that was all. That was all good. I think. Well, can one rider change the fortunes? I suppose it can if it's the right rider.
yeah, absolutely.
I'm very surprised at how the start that Kings Lynn's had. To be honest, I thought they were better than that.
Yeah, they haven't had the greatest of starts, have they? So in total, Robert Lambert's been a bit up and down, hasn't he? Well, I thought you rode well in the Grand Prix. To be fair, I mean, he got into the top 8. So.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that. I mean, that's got to be his goal for this year, hasn't it? To finish in the top 8. You would.
Well,
think.
it depends on how many GPs he rides in, of course, because obviously he's only a temporary replacement at the moment. So.
Yeah, well, this is true, and all the best, as we've said before, to Greg Hancock.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would it be fair? No, I'm not going to have that conversation. Actually, I've changed my mind. We'll maybe at a later date. Okay, so what's been happening at Wolverhampton in the past couple of weeks?
Do we have to go?
Yeah,
there,
I'm afraid so.
Yeah,
I'm afraid so. Before you start, I mean, I offer this over to Matt because he's a Wolverhampton supporter, and he for some reason he goes and watches them.
Well, I don't know much else to do with it. So.
But so the reports and so on that he's bringing back from Wolves, we would love to hear your comments on how you think your season's going. So put them up on the shout box, and we will read them out and we will comment on them. So yeah, there you go.
Well, it starts off with the TV match last week at Ipswich. Wolves' first trip to Ipswich in about 9 years, I think.
Yeah.
2-point defeat live on BT Sports.
You snatched
4. Well, I thought that was a poor result, to be honest. Peter Adams seemed quite pleased with the results on.
Well, I just think you was in the. Yeah, at one point you was in the driving seat, really, wasn't you?
Ipswich threw a lot of points away in the. I mean, that's the one thing I would say from Ipswich's perspective. They've had some fantastic crowds this season. I thought the crowd last Monday there was pretty poor, to be honest.
It didn't look great on the telly.
I know it's an off race night, so maybe they could have
Yeah,
I don't know whether they did do any deals, but if they, maybe that should have been a way.
Maybe the television being there affected the audience as well.
Shame, really, because I mean, if you'd have watched that, seeing Speedo for the first time, you'd seen very few people there. It wouldn't have looked particularly impressive. But no, as I say, a disappointing result from a Wolves perspective. With Ipswich, of course, a great result for them. Effectively a 4-man team. And they managed to get the win, and again they've had a good start to the season, Ipswich. So,
well, Brandon Powis is agreeing with you because he says it's the worst bank holiday for Wolves. Hope they do better at Kings Lynn. Craig Cook revived Kings Lynn, of course.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I mean, yesterday was an absolute horror show, really. The 2 defeats against Bellevue. I didn't go to Bellevue in the morning, but I'm told by people who were there that despite the scoreline, it was a terrific meeting.
Right. What was the scoreline again? Just
56-34.
Yeah, well, I can't say anything given this is a very similar score for Birmingham at Leicester.
Yeah. But by all accounts, it was a terrific meeting at Bellevue. A lot of Bellevue fans saying it was the best meeting they've had this season. So, but obviously the return of Jakob Torsell and Nick Morris with Scott Nichols exiting the scene after his temporary signing,
moving to
Peterborough.
Yeah.
It's caused a bit of caused a bit of an uproar, really, because I think a lot of people were disappointed that Scott Nicholls wasn't kept on. But looking at it from the perspective of the averages, Scott Nicholls probably would have ended up riding at number 1, and I'm not convinced he can ride at number 1 anymore.
Right.
So, and I think that the Wolves promotion were very keen to get their own riders back in the side. So Jakob Torsell and Nick Morris.
It just sort of makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, Jakob Torsell and Nick Morris they both performed okay at Bellevue, but found they're going really tough on a really slick Monmouth Green track last night, with the 52-38 defeat. I've got to say, probably the poorest perform. Full credit to Bellevue, to be fair. I mean, they rode. As I say, I didn't go yesterday afternoon.
We've got a couple of just sorry to interrupt. We've got a couple of comments on this. So Paul PVR Racing, was it PVL Racing? I need new glasses. Oh, I've got new glasses. Good meeting. Ipswich versus Wolves. Track looks brilliant. Now definitely better now. It's wider.
I thought there was some good racing, to be fair. Ipswich is it's strange, really, because Ipswich has always been a bit of a dodgy track for Wolves, even when Wolves were dominant in the 90s when I started watching Speedway. It wasn't a track that we always used to do that much on, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I say there was a couple of good races in the meeting. So
Duncan Pemberton says the highlight for me at the Witches versus Wolves meeting was Pearson and Tatum screaming about the wrong rider for 4
I think they've got
laps.
quite a bit of stick about that on Twitter, haven't they? So.
And so they should. I've got one job: tell us who's in front and who's at the back. But anyway, bless them. Yeah. So
that poor performance at Monmouth last night. Both Torsell and Nick Morris. I mean, Nick Morris hasn't ridden all season, so I suppose you'd be a bit of leeway for that. But
remind us of the score again.
52-38 to Bellevue. Full credit to Bellevue. They were pretty ruthless yesterday. Gated very well. Wolsey's gating was absolutely awful. And I think in the end, running out deserving winners. I've got to say as well, Heat 2. Suddenly, as the tapes rose on Heat 2, there was just this enormous gust of wind. It blew all the covers off the dog track. And I mean, poor Luke Becker. I mean, you've seen Luke Becker how small he is. I mean, it always looked like he was being blown off the track. He could barely get round. So I mean, he blew all the covers off the dog track, and they had to stop the meeting for a few minutes to put all the covers back on. So it was bizarre, but it just suddenly came out of nowhere.
Paul Wood says, good track now at Ipswich, 30 years late, but better late than never. And Chris Louis, provides a good surface regular.
I like Chris Louis. I think he's going to be a very, very good promoter.
We need them.
So and obviously as a Speedway man himself. So
yeah, seem to have a few coming up and around at the moment. So that's
it's good for Ipswich though. I mean, obviously Ipswich have been in the second tier for a few years now, but I've always perceived Ipswich as being a club that belongs in the top flight. So it's good that they've had a good start, because they weren't fancied at the start of the season, but the start of the season has proven a few people wrong.
I mean Swindon at the start of the season seemed to be blowing everybody away, but they've stuttered a little bit recently, haven't they?
They have a little bit, yeah. So we'll have a look at the Premiership table in the early stages.
Yep.
At the moment, of course, Bellevue, I believe now.
If Chris is on the ball, he'll shove it up on the screen.
Sorry, what was that? Wasn't anything.
You never are the championship.
Doing things.
The championship table, please.
Bellevue top, 17 points from 8 matches. Ipswich second, 13 from 5. Poole 12 from 6. Peterborough 11 from 7. Wolverhampton 10 from 6. Swindon 5 from 5, and Kings Lynn 3 from 5. Of course, Wolves in action at Kings Lynn next Monday, so I think if Kings Lynn need a pick me up, they might be getting one next Monday on the evidence I saw yesterday. But I think we've got the championship table coming up as well, haven't we? So
yep, is that going on the screen? Is it?
I'm going to put it on the screen.
Okay, there we go. So you talk too fast, basically. But
you can carry on.
So have you got the champion? We'll talk about the championship then, if we must.
Well then.
It's nice to see that Birmingham aren't bottom of the table at the moment.
Well, one team hasn't had a match yet, haven't they? So
I know. Long may that continue. Yeah, so I mean, okay, so you got the Leicester at top with 6 matches, and you got Redcar at the bottom with 0 matches. So it's very, very difficult to read anything.
I don't really. It's a shame really that they can't organise these fixtures so that we're more level in terms of fixtures. So.
But you can say that Leicester are the class of the. They've earned more points away from home than they have at home, because they've earned points everywhere they've gone.
This is a Leicester that have gone to Eastbourne and won. Not many teams are going to go there and pull up a result. So.
I mean, they had a 60 odd. Who did they beat recently? Eastbourne. They've just drubbed somebody. I think it was.
Was it Berwick?
Might have been. Yes, it was. It was Berwick. Yeah, who were 5th in the table. Somerset. Looking pretty good. I can't actually see how many points Somerset have got.
Okay.
We go. No, still can't see. There we go. So they got 7 points from the two matches. That's not bad going, is it? So they're looking good as well.
Yeah.
What are we going to say about Birmingham? I mean, they won their first match last Wednesday. It was a decent win. I mean, it could have been more. James Shanes
was a good win. I've got to say as well, it was a thoroughly entertaining meeting. There was some terrific racing.
Great racing, wasn't there?
Yeah.
It was great from a Birmingham perspective that Adam Ellis comes out in his first race, wins it by
country was Josh
mile.
Pickering well as well, obviously after his smacking the last race.
Yes.
Because he looked very impressive.
He did look impressive, actually. Fastest time of the season.
Yeah.
That makes you feel that spreads confidence.
That's what Birmingham have been missing all season. Is somebody who can go out and dominate the first 8, and he did that. So
that was all good. I most impressive rider for me, just shading James Shanes, who had a fantastic meeting.
Yeah.
Was our new reserve, whose name will come into me. Stoneman, is it?
Yep, Nathan Stoneman.
Nathan Stoneman. I couldn't remember his name for a second.
Yeah, I spoke to Lawrence Rogers after the meeting, and he's the phrase he used to me were, "He's got balls."
Right. So, well, I hope he has.
That's a bit of a revelation, Lawrence.
Yeah. Well, he has though. But I mean, and he was coming out of that gate like a scolded rabbit. So he can really get out the gate.
Well, he's been getting some good scores for Plymouth, hasn't he, in the National League?
But he was keeping riders behind him. Riders that you would think were a lot better than him. So
he made Cameron Heaps work for that winning,
didn't they?
Number.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that was a good. Again, just like you say, some good racing. So that was really good to see. So it's obviously made a difference. I don't know where it's leaving us after. I mean, we got drubbed at Leicester, but I don't think we're going to be the only ones that get drubbed at Leicester.
It was a battling performance at Leicester, and we kept close for the first.
I think Josh Bates, and that's another rider we should wish the best for. I think Josh Bates looping at the start and being withdrawn from the meeting probably helped us a little bit. But I guess the biggest worry for us from that meeting was, it's the same worry as you got with Nick Morris, I suppose, was Ulrich Ostergaard.
I thought Ulrich Ostergaard rode very well last Wednesday. I thought he was unlucky.
He was unlucky. He got balked a couple of times, and there was one race when I thought it should have been all 4 back straight away, because he was nearly pushed onto the centre green right from the tapes. Yeah. But that never really happens.
But it is a cause for concern, I think.
I
think moving him. I think getting Alan Ellis into a position in the team where Ulrich Ostergaard hasn't got a rider number 1 is good, because I don't think Ulrich Ostergaard's a number 1 anymore.
No. Well, they've changed the order again, haven't they, for tomorrow? They've put, whether that's just for the home meetings, I'm not sure, but they've put Ulrich at 3 and Zach at 5. It's going to be quite good. Ashley Morris has started coming good again.
Yeah, he rode well.
He did quite well. He was our best rider at Leicester as well. Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting meeting tomorrow with Gordon Kennett.
Edward
Kennett. I said, show my age again. Gordon Kennett.
It's astonishing Gordon Kennett makes a comeback.
Well, this is Speedway. Yeah.
Official.
Thank you.
Marty Clyde says, any idea when the draw is made for the Championship Shield semis? Do we have any idea?
I don't know. I don't suppose we'll ever know. It'll just be announced, won't it? That's normally what happens.
Well, obviously Birmingham aren't going to know because they're out, but I mean...
thank you for that.
That's all right. We're at the Premiership trophy, so... Or the Premiership Supporters Cup or whatever it is.
We don't know, do we? Paul Wood says, he may have balls, We can't say that about all the Bulls team.
Okay, but Mr. Stoneman isn't in the Bulls team, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was ironic, was it not?
Yeah, it was. I was really because there was such a big.
There was. I mean, I've got to say something about this actually because. Rachel Hallowell and is it Francesca Payne? First time, as far as anybody's aware, that two females have gone head to head in team riding for opposite teams and so on, and caused a bit of a stir.
Yeah,
that's a little bit anachronistic, isn't it? Just because it's two girls, it's quite. I think it's. But anyway,
sorry, what's anachronistic?
Not what you said for a start.
You have the dictionary out again, have you?
It's very 1970s.
Oh, right. So, okay, I thought it was something to keep your socks up.
Because the Daily Star decided they was going to make a feature of it.
Yeah.
I've never featured Speedway before, but because it's two
women, then obviously they get in there. So.
What's that? Come on, guys.
But
from Birmingham's point of view, great publicity.
Yeah,
you can't. Yeah, from Birmingham's point of view, brilliant, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had Midlands today.
Yeah.
At the track, with the camera, broadcasting live, doing an interview with Rachel and Francesca. I did get to see it later. It was a decent enough interview, nice little piece.
Yep.
And they were ready to film the balls and that race, and of course with all the crashes and everything that went on, it just didn't happen. How ironic! But hopefully, maybe we can build it up again when they come back.
Yeah.
Great bit of promoting from the promotion, I have to say.
Absolutely, yeah.
You got great bit of promoting. Yep.
Brendan said something is missing from meetings these days. We're not getting the hairs on the back of our neck standing up on end, and all of us losing our voices like Wolves against Ipswich and Carson against Nicholas in race-offs.
Well, it's a bit early in the season.
It is a bit,
you get a lot of that. I mean, I can only speak from a Birmingham perspective, and so it'd be interesting to see what other people out there say about that. But I would say, if Cradley was in the same league as us, and then you had Cradley versus, as we had in the National League, there would be lots of hoarse voices at the end.
Yes.
I think regardless of the entertainment, to be honest. So it's context, isn't it, I guess? As you get towards the working end of the season and your team's in a chance for a playoff or whatever, and each result becomes much more important, then I think that becomes more... What's the word I'm searching for? More likely to happen.
Yeah.
So we was having a conversation earlier while we were watching those races, and we was having that conversation about how do we attract people, how do we get those crowds, and we were saying, was we not, that a lot of the problems is that people look on those eras through rose-coloured glasses, saying that look at that, it was better Speedway than we get now. But they're picking. It's that's all cherry-picked races. You're only seeing the good ones. There was a lot of dross in those days. A lot of dross. I think the racing now, by and large, is better.
Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, I've got a lot of DVDs from classic Speedway videos. From meetings from the early '90s, and you watch a lot of these sort of compilations, and they always pick the best races out. But when you're watching these meetings in full, there's some great races, but there's also a lot of races that are.
Talking of which,
sort of the flag, so.
Do you want to give a plug for your gaffers at Rerun? Because there's a Birmingham Speedway new DVD thing, best of since 2007, I believe.
Yeah, it's coming out. I think it's coming out later in the year. I'm not exactly sure when.
So, well, you have to find out now.
I'll have to find out.
That's sure. So. That's happening, and I think there's a few other clubs as well that they're doing it for, aren't they? So you'll have to get them on. Have to get them on.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, so is there any more comments before we move on to the next topic? Yeah,
quite a bit.
Okay, let's go for it.
No, I was okay. Dave Twine says Stoneman was leading Heaps' second bend last lap. He looked round as Heaps overtook him.
Big mistake.
Yes. How many times have we seen that? Lawrence did not look happy.
Yeah, don't look behind. Yeah.
And then Ben Clifton says, did you boys see the Speedway Tavern T-shirt on the SGP qualifying TV coverage?
No, I didn't.
No, we didn't.
No.
Well, I didn't watch it, so I wasn't away. So
I'm going to look.
I saw a picture.
Have you got a picture of it?
I saw a picture of
Oh,
it.
right. Oh,
I'll
right.
get Ben to show it, text him.
We have to put it up.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well done, mate. No, we didn't. Grass graphics. Why am I so excited about it?
Yeah, I know. Paul says that no good shouting from behind glass at Perry Bar. Just enjoy your point.
And your Speedway.
And your Speedway.
that's one of the problems at Perry Bar, really, is because the best viewing is inside the stadium, to be fair, because especially on the home straight where there's not very much.
It's a shame we can't do something about those windows that where we can open them or something. That would be great.
I thought you were going to say smash them all. I think that would go down well with the.
No, calm down. We're not all Wolverhampton supporters here, you know.
Or
Goodness
Crawley
me.
supporters.
He said that, guy, not me. I didn't say that. Okay.
Mark Robinson says the racing's better. Well, I think you need to take off your very dark glasses. Now, I wouldn't expect Mark to say that.
Okay. What would you expect him to
Mark
say?
Robinson.
Okay. I think it's on a consistent. It's consistently better. I can remember. I'm
I think in the GPs it is, yes.
Yeah, I'm going back to. I'm going back to. If you look at if you can find whole matches on YouTube from the 70s and 80s, and you can find whole matches, by the way. There's a lot of wibbly wobbly riders and stuff going on.
Is that a technical term?
It is
You couldn't think of anything else to say. I think that was what we would
Okay.
It is now.
Wibbly wobbly riders. Right, okay.
So yeah, it's. I guess my point is that it's probably no worse and no better at the end of the day. It's Speedway, and there are races that you see, and it just takes your breath away.
Yeah.
And I love those moments, and that still happens, and all for lots of different reasons. So anyway. That's just my opinion. For what
Eric Parsons wants to know, hi, how's the crowd numbers for meetings so far this season?
Are we talking Birmingham?
Well, we'll go to Wolves.
Okay, go to Wolves. How's your crowd's been? And how have your crowds been, guys?
Yeah.
I think you were saying earlier that Ipswich crowds have been really good.
They have, yeah.
It didn't look great on the television the other day, but yeah.
I don't think the Wolves crowds have been fantastic this season, to be honest.
Okay.
I think it was a good crowd last night. It's probably the best crowd of the season, but as I say, Bank Holiday,
yeah.
Bellevue always bring a lot down. I think Bellevue were clearly sniffing an away win, so that's why a few of their fans turned up. So, no, I don't think the crowds at Wolves have been fantastic this season. They've definitely dropped in the last 2 or 3 seasons.
I've heard differing opinions as to whether the crowds are better or worse at Birmingham this year.
Yeah.
Last week's crowd was definitely better than that awful crowd that we had
For the Eastbourne meeting,
which was the worst crowd I've seen for a while, even from National League days. Things have gone against them a little bit, and it's been very disjointed. I am hoping. I'm going to big up tomorrow's meeting because tomorrow's not about getting through to the knockout cup. Although it is possible, it's not impossible. And I do remember a particular match against Rye House with a certain Mr. Ty Woffington, and we won the thing by enough to get through, mainly because we injured half of their team. But I'm not suggesting that as a tactic at all, by the way. So don't think that. It's going to be. It's about the win tomorrow and about gaining confidence.
Yeah, winning the meeting.
And I think it's going to be a good meeting. It's got the potential for a good meeting.
You got the added character, of course, of Carl Newman coming back, so he's going to have a...
Carl Newman for Eastbourne, Tom
yeah.
Bacon riding for us as well, because James Shane's unfortunately he's doing world long track duty, but we get a facility for him, so it'd be good to see Tom back.
Does anybody know the crowd, how the crowd was at Leicester? What
I didn't see
as
that.
far as I'm aware, Leicester's crowds have been very good this season. As for Cradley, I think their opening meeting against Millwall, the crowd was excellent, but I was told it wasn't a very good crowd for the Isle of Wight meeting last week.
Right. They're looking at it being a middling sort of finish at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah.
But I think Jack Smith might.
Part me with Cradley wonders whether some of the novelties starting to wear off a little bit.
I wanted to talk a little bit about. I just want to do a little bit of promoting for my team, if I may.
Yeah, sure. You go ahead.
So I apologise to out there. I mean, they're really pulling out the stops tomorrow. They've got Chase from Paws Patrol, which you're looking at me blank. But if you're under sort of 6 or 7,
no, none of us are. No.
That does surprise me.
You know though.
So and face painting and kids for I think 11 and under, or I think I might got this right, but it's something like 11 and under that kids are free.
Yeah.
And they're having kids for £1 for the ones that are older than that as well as a promotion. So they're really. So get yourself down there tomorrow.
And they're all off this week, so they're going to go to school next day.
Exactly.
Absolutely,
so get yourselves down there tomorrow. And it's regardless of whether we're going to get through in the Knockout Cup or it's going to be this. Eastbourne have got some decent riders. We've got some decent riders that are starting to show that now. Going to be a good meeting. Right, we're running out of time. We need to talk about the GP.
We do indeed, yes.
Okay. From a British point of view, there was 2 counterpoints, really, wasn't there?
Yes.
A surprise, maybe, at how well. His name will come into
Robert Lambert.
Robert Lambert, thank you very much, did. And
surprise.
Concern a little bit for.
Well, there's still plenty of time. There's still plenty of time for Ty, but I've got to say, his gating was absolutely awful.
Well, it's never been the best part.
Never been the best part, but it looked particularly bad on Saturday.
He wasn't. But he didn't look particularly quick either.
No, he didn't. On a track that he normally flies at. I mean, he's done well there in the past.
He wasn't making up places.
No,
was
he wasn't. So.
Whether that, but is part of that possibly? So he didn't do the qualifying. He didn't do the practice. Is that possibly part of that? Because traditionally it's been said that practice makes no difference.
Yeah.
But is it making a difference now
Possibly,
that they're able to say, well, that's made me go this fast, and that's made me go this fast with the transponders and qualification and so on.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I didn't see the qualifying because I was away. But I mean, what was your opinion of it?
I think the jury's still out.
Yeah.
But it's just something. It's something extra,
Something
isn't it?
new,
And it does bring Speedway in line with other sports. And it's interesting having a 1 lap timing. Fast it over 1 lap rather than the 4 laps. You get to sort of.
I liked as well where in the heats it just shows the distance between each rider.
Yeah.
Which I thought is really.
Yeah. Well, you can do all sorts of things once you've got those transponders, and it's something that
I've always wanted to see. That is to be honest.
Something we should look at.
The difference between.
We should look at, and particularly if we start going down the road of apps and so on, that would be useful.
Yeah.
For all of that, and also, there's no argument, is there?
Because it's where riders then can see, well, that's the part of the track where I'm losing speed on. I'll work on that bit of the track. Similar to what a Formula 1 driver would do when they're in.
How many times have you been at a match? I know it's happened at Birmingham many times, where they've gone over the line, you fill the programme in, and the referee's had a different opinion to you.
Yes,
it happens all the time, and at the end of the day, it is an opinion.
I've seen some really bad ones as well. That's the thing. So.
Yeah, so have I. And I mean, there are particular. I mean, Oxford used to have that problem because it was offset from the referee's box
and
was
Wolves
offset
as well.
Yeah, and Birmingham's is as well.
Yeah.
So transponders. No, there's no decision, is there? It's black and white. You've got a transponder on the bike. That transponder tells you immediately, bang, he come first, he come second. There's no arguing with the referee about and it's well anyway. I think I no idea how much of this would cost, and that's obviously going to be the bottom line. But obviously the software's out there, the transponders are out there.
Yeah. If you've got the technology to do it, use it.
I think it would be a great thing. So Paul Wood says TV crowds are always low apart from playoffs.
That's why they have the playoffs, really.
Yeah.
Just so they can get the nice
maybe we've said this before. Maybe they should be lower in prices to try and because you're trying to promote your sport.
Yeah.
And one way of promoting a sport is having a great atmosphere. It makes people think, oh, I'd like to go there. I'd like to see that.
A great atmosphere can make a good meeting feel even better, can't it?
Yeah.
So,
And those people that enjoyed that atmosphere are more
Will
likely
come back,
to come
yeah.
back the next.
Mark Robinson. Now we've got some numbers here. I've no idea how accurate they are, so I have to put that out as a sort of disclaimer. Said Cradley's 2 meetings, first meeting 730 and second meeting 569. As I say, I have no idea of the accuracy
There's
of
one
that.
for Wolves one there as well.
Wolves last night had 1,250.
yeah, it was the best crowd of the season at Wolves last night.
Okay.
I will say that.
Yeah, Kent gets good crowds. When I've been to Kent, well, the once that I've been to Kent, they did have good crowds. Mark Robinson, it's time attendance figures were put up.
Well, Tony Moll used to do it, didn't he, at Long Eaton?
Apparently, but he got
He
told
did it
off.
for a season, but the other promoters told him to stop doing it.
Yeah, it's a BSPA.
I don't know
thing.
why.
I
Can't think why.
No, I don't understand.
Can't think why. No.
I don't see the importance of it either way, if I'm honest. Nobody's hiding the fact there's a good crowd or a bad crowd. You can see it.
Yeah.
You know. Reports of Leicester was in front of a big bank holiday crowd. Okay, Ben Tebow Clifton, we have been lucky at Kent as 3 or 4 meetings have been bank holiday Mondays, all of which must have been around 1,500 in crowds. That's pretty good going for a National League, isn't it? The normal Monday fixture was a challenge and still raised a crowd of 500 to 600. Thought that said 500,600 for a second. Jim Turrell, evening all. Apologies for being late doing dinner. Okay, the crowd, Witches versus Wolves on TV, was poor, well down on normal. Be back for the next meeting.
It's an off night, isn't it?
Okay. So we're talking about the Grand Prix, and Duncan Pemberton says Freddie all the way for me this year. He did have a good meeting.
Well, he should have won that meeting, really. He threw it away in the last 8. So
he did, but you know, of the usual contenders, he did the best.
yeah, Patrick Durdick I thought rode well as well. He got 16.
Bartosz Schmarzlik looked brilliant at the beginning of the meeting, and then
Same with
tailed
Martin
off.
Vashlik. I think he dropped 2 points in his first 3 races and then didn't score a point after that.
But Robert Lambert was very gutsy
Yeah.
performance.
Yeah. Got to say as well, just while we're talking about Freddie Lindgren, there was a rainbow over Monmouth Green last night, and I think a lot of the Wolves fans were wondering whether Freddie Lindgren was going to come sliding down it. All the time if we did so. But unfortunately, no sign.
What are you guys on up there?
Oh yeah,
Goodness me. Jason Doyle was pretty poor.
I don't think he's fit, is he?
No, well, no, obviously.
But he
he's
started
not,
off well, but I think well, he had 2 second places, but didn't really do much after that.
But we have to mention him, don't we? The winner.
Well,
I mean, we talk about. By the way, we should say Freddie Lindgren, although he didn't win the thing, he is leading the World Championship.
Yeah.
So that's for starters. But Leon Madsen won the meeting.
Leon Madsen is a very good rider. We haven't really seen a lot of him in the UK,
no.
unfortunately, have we? But I think he's. By the way, Patrick Durdick's leading the World Champ by a point.
Oh, yes, he is, yeah.
Sorry.
16
Just,
points
pull
to
you up on
15,
that,
yeah.
Neil Stevenson looked right well, team. But Leon Madsen, as I say, he's done well on the continent. We haven't really seen that much of him, have we? I think he had a spell. He's done well in the.
No, yeah, I mean, well,
It's,
he won the thing, didn't he?
He's a bit of an unknown. He's a bit of an unknown quantity, and of course, with Nicky Pedersen now dropping out of the Prix, Denmark away, number 1.
New kid on the block.
That's right.
Yeah. Smack Tyler did well, didn't he?
He impressed me.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of good things about him. World Under 21 champion as well. So,
Yeah.
10 points him. So
You have to wonder whether clubs are going to be looking at signing him. Are we going to get any Polish over here again?
I don't know where the risk is, unfortunately, because Polish clubs are so awkward to work
This
with.
is true.
So.
This is true. But surely the way that that's the theory, isn't it? That the way that it's set out now, the days of the week that you have, is not when the Polish leagues are racing.
Well, the problem is, and I can remember Chris Van Straten talking a couple of years ago when Jakub Torsel showed him the details of his contract for his Polish club. When he was in there, it stated that if the club where he was riding for in Poland, if, say, for example, there was a shop being opened in the town centre that day and they wanted him to be there and Wolves were riding in a meeting, he had to be at the opening and ride for, which just seems it's depriving a rider of income. Because I remember as well, these riders are self-income.
Self-employed,
That's right, yeah. So, but
buy all their own gear. They have to find it. It's a weird sport, this one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Duncan says, was it true that Wolves, the start marshal, would give the ref the nod in a tight finish because the box wasn't over the gates?
That's right. That is right. Still the same. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'll tell you the worst decision I ever saw at Wolves actually was in a Wolves Eastbourne meeting when Nicky Pedersen was riding for Eastbourne. Eastbourne had put Nicky Pedersen in this race and David Norris. David Norris was the tactical ride. They were both in front, but Pedersen didn't let David Norris through. And as I said, they were going back to the pits, and David Norris was shaking his fist, and we've all filled in the result, 7-1. Comes over the tannoy, winner in black and white, David Norris.
Wow. Did you read about, I think it was in Poland, the referee, the start marshal that got excluded?
Yeah, I haven't got this now.
I think it was in Poland. I can't remember it now, but it's something to do. He'd made a couple of wrong decisions, and I can't remember it. Somebody out there will do. But the referee actually excluded the start marshal.
No need Speedway.
Yeah.
We've said before.
Do you think for the qualifying it should be in line with other motorsport like F1? Well, possibly explain what you mean by that. I don't. And Sean Simpson didn't see, but where's the transponder mounted? As surely not on the front wheel. That may just be in front over the line.
I don't know where. I think is it on the handlebars?
I thought it might have been on the top of the forks underneath the handlebars. Yeah,
it was at the front of the bike. I think I'm fairly sure it was.
How big is it? I mean, is it a transponder?
I actually don't know. So yeah, we'll search some pictures out for next week. Transponders do cost a lot of money. In motocross, most riders have one around £100 to £120 each. Do you think that Lambert should be given all the series now, as Greg has fell so far behind? But tell Greg he has a place for next year. Well, that was the thing that I said. Actually, I don't want to talk about it because I don't think it's right to talk about it while Greg has.
Well, the issues going on.
Yeah. So I do have an opinion about it, but I'll just say this: I think a lot of that depends on how long it is before Greg comes back.
Yeah.
So. That was it. Brendan Powell said he left the pole in the middle of the track.
Yeah. That's happened before, isn't it?
Yeah.
That happened with Chris Louis, I think, about 12 years ago when he was riding. It knocked him, and he caught it. Well, I think the rider in front of him caught it, and he flew up and hit him in the head and knocked him unconscious.
Yeah, it is a dangerous thing. Jack Wright, he left the tape steadying stand on the track, and the riders nearly hit it, and the race had to be stopped and was effectively sacked for the meeting.
It's negligence, really, isn't it?
And Paul PVL Racing said on the forks.
He's on the forks, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
So, that would seem top of the forks mounted. There you go.
We'll agree.
Yeah, that's all.
Of course, once one says it, everybody else knows, don't they? So that's why they're all putting it on.
Okay, so I would like to move the conversation along a little bit to good news at Brandon. Potentially,
yes.
Yeah.
Potentially, yeah.
My understanding of the sort of ruling that has been made is that they can't develop on Brandon now unless there's an alternative, or they make an alternative arrangement for the stadium, or for a stadium. So, I mean, we saw some of those pictures in the races that we saw before the show started. The crowds at Brandon, and it's so sad to see what it looks like now.
Don't get me wrong. Obviously, as a Wolverhampton fellow, I was no great lover of Coventry as a club.
Yeah, but you want them to be there so you can beat them.
It is absolutely, yeah. But it is. They are one of the giants of British Speedway. Coventry. I mean, Brandon, is one of the great stadiums as well.
Brilliant Speedway stadium. We ain't got many of those. Yeah, well, obviously got Bellevue. But
yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people who've said that instead of the money that was spent on Bellevue, the BSPA should have made Coventry the centre of the sport, really, with its location. But
well, probably it's a good job that they didn't, given what's happened. But
I mean, the one thing I would say with Coventry is there's always been this perception about Brandon that it's just a slick track with no passing. It didn't used to be, but since they when they reshaped it in about '98, the track has been a lot better. I mean, I've seen some fantastic meetings there.
Yeah,
in the
it's
last sort of 10
that's
years
a
or
funny
so.
one. That is really is a
Yeah.
funny one because I last time I was at Coventry, I had a real good look at the track and the way it was prepared, and I couldn't see anything wrong with the way it was prepared. There was plenty of dirt on there, particularly for you don't need too much dirt with the current bikes.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it does. But it wasn't a great meeting. It was, first from the gate variant. But I have seen some great matches. Martin Smolinski had some fantastic passes at Coventry when he rode for us, for instance. But it always has had that reputation. But I don't care. I want it. It's a lovely shaped track. It's a great size.
Great stadium as well.
So let's fingers crossed for that one. And the other fingers crossed, of course, is Rye House.
Yes.
Possibly Tim Mead trying to revive it, possibly even as early as this year, having some open meetings this year. That'd be fantastic, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the issue with Rye House really was. I've seen people say it was a mistake to go into the top flight. I don't think that was the issue. I think the issue was losing the Saturday nights.
Well, that's why it was a mistake to go into the top flight, maybe. But yeah.
Well, they had good crowds there for the first season.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was on a Saturday night. I mean, if you've ever been down there, there's no houses anywhere near the place.
Yeah.
I mean, their crowds must come from quite some way out.
Yeah.
Because
it's a lovely. It's
a really nice setup there at Rye
Yeah.
House. It's
I think the track's improved over the days when Len Silver was promoting. I think they've evened the surface out because there used to be that sort of. I don't think you used to go.
I've been there once.
So there used to be almost a two-tier track. It had a little camber in the middle of the track, and that seems to, from what I've seen, seems to have gone.
Yeah, but I mean, again, as they were talking about Coventry. I mean, Rye House 10 years ago were a real dominant force in the second tier, weren't they?
Mm. Yeah, well, our year back, the year we came back, they were the best team.
I think they were the first team to win there, weren't they? First visiting team to win it.
I don't think they did win there. I think they nearly won there, and then they lost half their riders because we'd prepared a very grippy track, and Ty Woffington went over the fence, and
I remember that.
Yeah, that was. Lots of bad things were said about us that day. Oh well. But yeah, that was a good team. Adam Roynan.
It was a very good side.
Yeah,
it was a very good side. Yeah.
Interesting to see Adam Roynan at Perry Bar, spannering for Ulrich on Wednesday. So he loves his speedway, obviously.
Yeah, it's a shame really for Adam that he's had so many bad injuries because I think he would have been a top rider.
He was going to be a top rider. He was absolutely. I mean, he was part of the England setup. He'd been noticed, hadn't he? Any more?
Quite a few, yeah.
Coventry debacle never going to happen. Just another Oxford.
Well, we hope not.
Well, I mean,
I think Oxford. I still think there's something in there for Oxford.
There's been things being said recently, hasn't there? So yeah, I mean, we'll keep our eye on that. It would be great. I mean, it'd be great, wouldn't it, to have Rye House back, Oxford back, Coventry back. Somebody somewhere find somewhere for Cradley to go. No, I never did get to see Oxford. Yeah. It looked a bit like the Newcastle track. From what I mean,
as I say, when I got into Speedo, that they were the team.
Hans Nielsen
and Simon Wigg, Simon Wigg, and Andy Graham, of course, who formed a good period with Hans as well.
BSPA never spent on aces. Manchester Council did, so they wouldn't buy Coventry. That's actually, that is true. It was more.
What I meant was the BSPA should have made an effort really to sort of have Coventry as a centre, as the base really, because I mean the headquarters are in Rugby, so it's down the road. So
it is, yeah.
So.
Sean says, who would take Brandon back on though? That is the question.
Probably quite a few people, given the fan base that they have. I mean, it would be a big. The fans would turn up in big numbers for the return of that.
I think with Coventry, you'd have to have it as more than a speedway track and a and a stock car track, you probably have to have it in a sort of a, because it's not massively a long way outside the city. I mean, it's obviously in a very well built up area now, so maybe have it as a function place or something like that as well. Because I think Bellevue have got that as well. With obviously you can hire the Peter Craven suite out, can't you, for Bellevue for events.
Brendan Powis missing the Coventry Wolves crowd banter.
Yes, I do. I do miss the Coventry Wolves matches. I mean, as with the Cradley Wolves matches as well.
Yeah.
So, which were a bit fiercer, to be fair.
This happened with... I can't read that one.
Okay,
Yeah.
there we go.
There
you go.
Are we finished? Are we...
There you go.
This happened with Cradley. Why couldn't they build on it before... build on it said repeatedly, then when...
Sort of half
forgot they granted them permission. They need a bit of punctuation there. I need a bit of punctuation there. I don't know about anybody else.
Yeah,
I mean, you were saying this earlier, wasn't you?
Cradley were let down really by by Dudley Council,
and continuing to be let down by Dudley Council.
Well, I wonder actually whether Samwell would be a better option for Cradley, to be honest, if that was possible. But
could you read that one for me? Because I'm not making it.
Alan Atherton says, sorry, late to party, but get in, lol. Smashed Wolves, home and away.
Well, certainly he's a Bellevue fan, isn't he, Alan?
I think that's...
yeah. There's a lot of people coming late to the party today. I think we should do a roll call every week, you know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Have we got...
we have, yes. It's been waiting.
Okay, well, let's do that. So, I should have said... Yeah, so guys, you should have been sharing, and I forgot to keep reminding you to share, because when you share, you get put in the... Are you okay?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, let's find out who's won. Let's find out who's won this one. There's a few in there. Dave, is that Twine?
I believe so,
Twine.
yes. Could be.
Dave Twine, you have won yourself a T-shirt, a SRB Radio T-shirt that will be winging its way towards you. Have we got his contact details?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so if you send us your contact details, we will put that in the post. I would say post haste, but you've got a bit of a reputation recently, haven't you? So you might not be quite as quick. Love going to Rye House this is Paul Wood, loved going to Rye House last few years. Saturday nights or Sundays, the locals don't go nearly or travel and no time in the week. So it backs up what you were saying,
absolutely.
Really. Sean Scott, my boys practice at Rye House every week. Track is well prepared. Total shame if it isn't used for competitive racing. Amen to that. Any speedway track should be. We've lost too many. I used to love going to Newport. Was another track I used to like going to because it was it was used just for speedway.
Yeah, well, I've only been to Rye House once, and that was start of 2017 when they moved up.
And can you just move that back a little bit? There's a common denominator in the demise of Coventry and Oxford,
which is.
Answers on a postcard, please. Sean Simpson, what's happening with Lakeside as well? That's gone very quiet, hasn't it?
I think the name Horton might be one of the common denominators. That's what the impression I get.
Right,
so.
Okay. I think that's unfair, personally. I know there's not
I think there's blame. I don't think Mick Horton's helped, but I don't think he's the main reason that Coventry are without a track at the moment. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about the Oxford situation, which is what I meant, really. Coventry, it was that's down to developers, isn't it? Underhandedness there.
And Jack sort of agrees with you. He says he thinks promoters would be queuing up to get the licence for Brandon.
Yeah, I think they would.
I think they would, yeah.
I think they would.
It's central in the country as well.
Tony Moore might make an appearance. It was good to see Tony at the meeting the other day.
He was, yeah. Well, looks well, doesn't he?
Never say never again.
Yeah. Never say never again. Paul Wood, land available for bees at Coventry Airport. They have open invitation in a couple of years. This is all great information. I'd love to know where you get it from. This is news to me. So, let us know.
Dave Twine says thank you. Dave, message me and I'll get that over to you.
No problem. And, so everybody get yourselves sharing. You've got 3 minutes left, so get yourself sharing and we will shove you in the, what are we calling that? The tin hat?
It's a cup, isn't it?
It's a cup, in the cup. Okay. And you may get a T-shirt yourself. Cool. Right, well, we've come to the end, really.
It was one of them shows where he said, you haven't got a show.
Once again, but it's always the guys out there that provide the show. Thank you very much once again. We will be back next week. We will be back next week, won't we?
We will be, yeah.
we will be back.
I'm
You're
not-
not planning on another holiday.
No, not having holidays.
I don't believe you. So we will be back next week. Remember, you have an open invitation. If you want to get round to your track and do any interviews, put on your phone or any other way that you can do it, and shove them in an email to us. We will put them on the show. Or
Easier. Send me the clip on Messenger, Facebook Messenger.
Okay.
Do it that way, and we can copy it from
all
there.
the addresses are on the SRB radio site. I was also going to say, and it's gone out of my head. What was I going to say?
I don't know.
This is your fault. But yeah, so we want your... Oh, I know what I was going to say. It's just coming to head. We are going to be trialling soon Skype, I believe.
Yes, yeah.
So you will be able to call us on Skype, and if you've got a camera on your computer, it will be as if you were in the room. So if you want to take part that way,
if anybody wants to try it, we're happy next week. Yeah,
we'd love that.
Week to do that.
So
it's all set up, ready to be trialled.
Keep trying to improve the show, do more and more things. All we need to do is get rid of Webby, and we'll be
I'll just talk over the outro. The developer at the airport said it in public, apparently, says Paul Wood.
Okay.
And we'll leave on Mark Robinson. Coventry Fund stayed away from Leicester, telling Mickey ordered to stay away from Coventry. That in itself should tell BSPA not to give him a licence. Controversial, isn't it?
Controversial stuff. Let's talk.
love it.
I would love to talk about that a little bit more next week. So if you want to come on, and that'll be interesting. Let's try and keep it non-libelous, though, please.
Yes, it's all
the Play
allegedly.
Store with the place, do we?
Well, not again, anyway.
No.
Right. Well, thank you very much once again. Good night, and please no more injuries.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.